Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, for obvious reasons, there's been so much talk surrounding the Athletics in recent years regarding relocation and staying in Oakland or not, or going to Sacramento temporarily, or eventually ending up in Las Vegas or not. We're always kind of looking ahead to try and figure out where exactly this is going, but I feel like sometimes, and right now, we might be missing a big thing in the present. And that is this. Are the Athletics right now of Major League Baseball, are they the only team in professional sports without a proper fan base? Let that sink in for just a second. Of all the other teams in pro sports, every one of them has a geolocated fan base. It's not to say that the A's don't have fans. I'm not suggesting that at all. In fact, you know what? Let's just get right into the disclaimers of this video. There are fans of the Athletics, and we'll break down pretty much the 4 types of fans that even still exist for this team. But where they've been, what they've done, how they've handled things, it has caused them to be in this rare situation right now of having no geographic base of fans. Where are the most A's fans right now? Are they still here in Northern California? Are they in the Bay Area? Are they in Sacramento? Are there all of a sudden a bunch of fans, A's fans in Las Vegas? There really can't be because the team's not even there yet. There's been no necessarily attachment there yet. My point is, this team has created this situation for itself where they don't even have a fan base. Yes, they have fans. I don't want you to read that the wrong way. There are some fans. There's clearly is not as many as they used to be, but they don't have a fan base like pretty much every other team in professional sports does. Far fewer fans lately because they've turned off so many. They've relocated, even temporarily right now. They've gone 90 miles up Interstate 80. No, not Highway 80, Interstate 80. Fewer fans in total because what exists in Sacramento certainly does not displace how many fans they lost here in the Bay Area. Intentional depletion is the phrase that I'm using here, and it's very specific, like I'm going with those words for a reason, but it's kind of the nice way of saying they've been sabotaging their fan base, or they've been tanking, as Bob Costas once said, against their fans to try and deplete the fan base so they don't care as much, so that a relocation is a lot easier. There's a lot less conflict and noise and tension with the fans if you start to basically annoy and frustrate and anger them and then move and blame them on the way out the door. So it kind of has been an intentional depletion by the A's towards their fan base. They're the ones that have done this to the fans. There's no question about that. And all of this, again, is a rarity in sports. How often do you see a team that's willing to say, you know what, we don't need these several million fans we have hypothetically in the Bay Area or Northern California. We will sacrifice them to try and recapture all of them and maybe even more somewhere else. And I'll get to more on that in just a second, like what was lost in this entire process. What business does that? What business says, you know what, we're okay with losing 75% of our customers? If I said here on YouTube, I'm willing to do away with 75% of my viewers or subscribers, what would the channel even be worth anymore? Why would anybody do that to something they care about? So what are the types of fans who are still actually supporting the A's? I've narrowed it down to this. Number one, the remote fan. This person is not in Northern California, probably not even on the West Coast. This person still is a fan of the A's because they are far away. You know what? Geography never really mattered anyways. They could still be in Kansas City for all this fan cares. Maybe they're from the state of Missouri, or maybe they're from Philadelphia, where the A's originated in the early 1900s. So geography never mattered to this fan anyways. And the team moving from Oakland to Sacramento to maybe Las Vegas, they couldn't care less where the team actually plays because they're just watching them and following them from afar no matter what. This remote fan should understand like where the team has been in recent years and the promise of being rooted in Oakland and trying to put together a Howard Terminal project or other stadium projects in the Bay Area and not succeeding. Like this remote fan should understand all of that, but I'll be honest, this fan may not relate to the uprooting of a team and how much pain and anguish this region went through by losing physically its team, which fans simply cannot go see the A's play at the Coliseum again. So they should understand what happened, but I'm also here to say that I get it if they can't completely relate to it. They are far away. Miles make a difference here. Respectfully, though, through all of this, when you hear from this fan on social media and they tell you, hey, I'll still support the team, they're always my team. Well, no offense, but respectfully, this fan's positions should matter just a little bit less. They didn't have the physical attachment to the team. They're not from the same region which the team wore across its chest for 57 years. And this is separate from just Oakland and just the A's. I'm talking about any fan of a team who is not geographically co-located with that team. What you're saying and how you're saying it, depending on the team's existence, it's more often than not just going to matter a little bit less. I'm sorry, that's my take if you disagree with it. I know there are good fans, hardcore fans that are far away from the team. You don't always get to control where you live, where you sleep at night. But if it's not centrally located to the team and you don't care about where they play, then maybe you just don't have the full understanding of what's happened here. There's also a Bay Area fan who's a loyal to anything fan. This is possibly a Northern California fan, maybe the Bay Area, maybe Sacramento. This loyal to anything fan has a love for the game and the players and maybe the A's colors, the green and gold, their logo, maybe Stomper, the elephant, the history of the team, but it goes no deeper than that. This fan who's loyal to anything also maybe just couldn't care less about who owns the team, where they play. They could play on the moon and be owned by Satan himself for all this fan cares. And I realize I've gone to the far extremes there of playing on a different planet and being owned by Satan himself. But to the point, no big deal for this loyal to anything fan. Like the team could evict you from your home and take away your job and empty your bank account. And this fan's like, well, I'm still loyal to them. They're still my baseball team. They only see it surface level. And I do understand that this fan is out there. They only care about simple things. Team's colors, history, players, tradition, nothing deeper than that. They don't care who owns the team or what the team has necessarily done. For me, this fan and being this fan, it takes one of two things, either ignorance to the situation or intent to just look the other way on things. Like, I know that's going on. I know they're moving this team. I know nobody likes it, but you know what? I'm just going to pretend like that's not happening right now. Or I won't pay any attention to that. I'll be totally blissfully ignorant to the entire situation. So we're halfway there. There's two more kinds of A's fans. There's not a fan base, but there's four types of fans, I think, right now. The Sacramento optimist. This person who is a Sacramentan, by the way, a West Sacramentan maybe, has always wanted this chance. Sacramento has been beckoning for a baseball team for decades now. They used to drive fans down I-80 in buses to try and bring signs to the Coliseum and say, hey, move this team to Sacramento. They started building a stadium right next to the old Arco Arena for a Major League Baseball team to try and move there. They've always wanted this chance, and now they're trying to put on a good showing. They want to prove to everybody that they've always been right, that Sacramento can host a Major League Baseball team. They've had AAA baseball for a while and minor league baseball for decades. Now this is their opportunity to show up and show out. So they rally behind that more than they actually even care about the fact that it's the A's. Quite honestly, they would have loved to have the Giants, but that was never going to happen. This fan feels like there's a shot here and now that this could work. And maybe it's the timing. Maybe it's the connection of Vivek Ranadive and his resources and the co-ownership of maybe a baseball team and the Sacramento Kings who have decided to stay in the capital city. So there's a fan out there who's an optimist who's like, yeah, maybe this is our chance. And now I'm going to be a fan of this baseball team. It has nothing to do with the A's or their history or their background. This fan may or may not be aware how the team even got into this situation, but that's, again, small potatoes. The number one thing is that they're here in my backyard right now, and I want them to stay. This fan has no choice but to make the best out of the next couple years. Is it 2 more years after this one? Is it 3 more years after this one? Is it a lot of years after this one? It's a temporary situation, but temporary and 3 years minimum don't necessarily fall in the same sentence. And the last category of fans that I do think actually exists for the A's right now are the Vegas Oblivious fans. Now, I do want to say in terms of quantity, I do not believe this group has the most fans by any means. If I were to do the pie chart, I don't know, it's like probably 30%, 30%, 30%, and maybe there's like 10% of Vegas Oblivious fans here. I don't think that there's a lot of these fans, but I do think that this subset definitely exists. They have a mindset that everything, when the A's arrive in Southern Nevada, if the A's arrive in Southern Nevada, everything's going to be different because, it's Vegas. It's a clean slate. It's a fresh start. Zebras can change their stripes, right? It's not necessarily going to happen that way. There's also a mindset, well, you know what? We shouldn't feel too bad about acquiring and poaching this baseball team from the Bay Area or from California because Oakland failed the situation. Oakland had its chance and nothing else matters. And the same thing happened with the Raiders. I'm not saying that that's at all my belief, or I'm not saying that that's true, but this is the mindset, right? This is kind of the oblivious mindset that, number one, everything's just going to instantly be different because of the location of the team and where they play their games, or how much is spent on the team and all of that stuff, but also the mindset that it was Oakland's fault, not the team's fault. The team is totally innocent in this. They're just trying to go for their best opportunity, which maybe is in Las Vegas. So there's a mindset that Oakland failed the situation, not any way of seeing two sides of it right now. And it's more in Las Vegas about getting any Major League Baseball team versus actually specifically wanting or caring about the A's. If you're telling me that Las Vegas could get, hypothetically, the Los Angeles Angels or the Arizona Diamondbacks, don't you think that Las Vegas geographically would rather pull in one of those two teams rather than the A's and how they've handled this situation and where they've been as a team in the last decade plus? Of course, they would prefer that. But they just want baseball. They just kind of want to put another toy in their closet more than they actually care about the A's. That's the whole oblivious side, I think, of a subset of Vegas fans. Okay, so let's close out with this. What was lost, right? In making this decision, in deciding that a fan base is not necessarily important, like depleting the fan base on purpose to make this move, here's what was lost. And I'm gonna be conservative here in my estimate by saying hundreds of thousands of generationally loyal fans and customers of the A's were lost, were extincted in this process. Hundreds of thousands of customers and fans. Think about that. You as running a business, again, who sabotages that intentionally? I get it. Sometimes there is the cost of doing business. But to wipe out all your fans and a majority of your fans because you think you might be able to double down somewhere else, and there's no guarantee of that, is crazy. Some fans here in Northern California, they've already decided to move on to other teams. Some go straight to the Giants. I've heard a lot of former A's fans now say that they're Padres fans. They like a California team. They like the fact that it's close enough to go visit. They love the ballpark. They love a team that's trying and spending. And other fans have just left baseball entirely. Some former A's fans have said, I'm done with Major League Baseball. So not only have the A's lost fans for themselves, they've lost fans for the game of baseball to a certain degree. Again, what business does this? The quantity and quality of support, I'll say this, of what was lost, it'll never be the same in Sacramento or in Las Vegas as it was in Oakland. And you can go ahead and put a million comments down below about attendance figures at the Coliseum in the last 15 to 20 plus years. Consider the situation. Consider a team that flipped its roster multiple times over. Consider a baseball stadium that had no updates for decades. And really, even until the final years, it wasn't until then when they tried to put in a place like the Treehouse or premium style seating and amenities. Like, there are things understood and not understood, mostly not understood, about why attendance is what it was in this dual MLB market. But my point is, for the people that showed up and how many people did support this unequivocally for decades, through all the drama, through all the tension, that quantity and quality of support, you will never see that in any of the other two markets where they're at right now, in Sacramento or in Las Vegas, where they potentially hope to be. So again, I just wanted to pause for the moment. Again, we talk about so many other things here, the future, relocation, will this happen, will that not happen? In the present right now, we're at such a rare point where the A's might be one of the only pro sports teams in existence today that has fans but does not have a fan base. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Thumbs up while you're down there. Helps me, the video, and the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to see you back here next time.